have two big updates for you today. The first one is from The Sims, which you probably care more about, and the second one is from me. I said big updates, but realistically, The Sims update today probably won't be very big. It's also not really a surprise. There's 2 new kits coming out on Thursday, and every single time there's a new Sims pack, we get an update right before. They have a very predictable release schedule with packs on Thursdays and an update on the Tuesday before. And that update is available now, so I'm gonna install this and then we can pop in the game and check out anything that's new. Again, not really expecting a lot of new content, mostly just bug fixes and stuff from this. We just don't really know what to expect from these updates, because sometimes it's huge and there's new free content, other times it's kind of just nothing and the patch notes are like 3 lines long. But I do always like to record these just in case, plus then you're kind of all in the loop about new stuff going on with The Sims. If you don't follow this stuff closely, you might see there's a game update and then have no idea what's coming in it, and that's what I'm here for. I'll walk you through all the new stuff. As per usual, your mods are going to be automatically disabled. Make sure you go to your favorite modders' websites and check if their mods are broken and then re-download them once they've updated them, and then you can re-enable mods in your game settings. The first big thing, and a lot of you probably already saw this, is they did a collab with Ebonix and Dark and Lovely to do a few more swatches to a couple of base game hairstyles. This has been kind of featured prominently on the homepage for a couple weeks now because we've had them for a little bit, but just in case you missed that, we did get those things as well kind of recently, and that's part of why I don't think there'll be any new content in this update. The only other thing that we know is that they've posted a laundry list, if it'll load, and in these laundry lists, they usually try and walk through the biggest concerns that they're trying to fix in the next patch. So on last week's laundry list, they have kind of a short one of a few of the major bugs they're working on. Again, these aren't all of the bugs, these are just the ones that they're hoping to have in this update. So we'll see if that actually ended up working out, but this is what they wanted to try and fix. So first is plants emitting green clouds when they're still alive as if they were dead, and plants are a whole mess right now. The whole gardening skill is like basically unusable at the moment. It's kind of gone back and forth with bugs over the past like 6 years. Ever since Seasons first came out ages ago, we've had a whole bunch of issues with the gardening skill, and they keep fixing it and then it breaks again in a different way, and it's just been like a non-stop never-ending cycle. That is not the only issue with gardening. My big issue right now is my plants going back to being like buds again. It'll be full grown and then glitch back to a default starting state. And also my Sims can't weed anything without getting stuck in a permanent loop of weeding. So if I told them to go and weed the garden, they would just sit there and continuously pull out weeds from one plant forever in a loop unless I reset them. So I've had to be cheating my plants to stop having weeds because I can't play with them. And it's been really annoying because I have a sim in the gardening career right now on my legacy challenge, and I want to use the gardening career, but gardening is completely bugged. And it sounds like they're not going to even fix that much of it, just part of it. So that kind of sucks. Apparently the dew collector hasn't been collecting water. The feed and message timestamps are messed up on Social Bunny. Social Bunny also has a whole bunch of issues. That's that social media app from high school years. There's been a problem with power getting shut off even if your bills are paid. Sims have still had the Fury glow after taking the Wolf Be Gone drink. There's been Sims getting wands to level up in nectar making even though they already max nectar making, so they can't. There's an issue with the max rent value being lowered if you evict someone in one specific lot. Again, there's more issues than just that in the rent pack, but that's what we're focusing on right now. Apparently when spellcasters get abducted by aliens, they give birth to a human instead of a spellcaster or an alien. Horse riding does not currently help Sims lose weight, and they're looking to change that. Honestly, I hadn't even really considered that. This isn't like a feature that I think about very often, but I guess it makes sense because things like yoga and the fitness skill make your Sims lose weight. So I can see why they'd want to go back and fix that, especially if it was meant to and then it just didn't work for the last year. There's a bug where residential rental household funds stay the same when you transfer money, so you try and transfer money out and like nothing happens. There's an issue with blank cast names for most languages apparently, and also during group cooking only one sim cooks when you're supposed to have a group cooking. So with these laundry lists, these are not the only bugs that they're working on. I sort of view this as like a, hey, these are the things that we're pretty sure we can definitely fix by the next patch, but they're also working on other stuff too. They just maybe aren't as certain that it's going to be solved in time. And all of these things are based on reports on the Answers HQ page. So if you have a bug, you're really supposed to be submitting them onto this website, because then other people can also be like, hey, I have that too, and then EA can track it more easily. This one was originally submitted in November 2020. 2020. So they're finally getting to it. We're just waiting on the patch notes now so we can see what actually came in the update. The Sims did just tweet, "Hey Simmers, we are in the process of rolling out today's base game update. We will share the patch notes as soon as we've confirmed the update is live across platforms." And they also said that in the meantime, some players may receive a pop-up message, "Sims delivery content not installed. You can ignore this error by clicking yes, play now. Your content remains in-game, and today's patch will resolve this pop-up within the next hour." So I didn't have that pop-up, but if you get that one, it sounds like just ignore it, I guess. Oh my gosh, my cat's in here. Look, she's kneading in her bed. That's my personal life update. Maybe I'll leave the cat cam on for a second and I'll tell you what's going on with Snap. So if you've been following my channel, you've probably heard me talk a lot about how she had surgery about 2 weeks ago. She actually had to go in and get a cancerous mass removed from her hip, and she has been going through it for the last 2 weeks. The first few days were really hard on her and me, to be honest. I think she was in a lot of pain, and it was just, even with the pain meds, it was rough. You can't really see it because she's laying on it right now, but she had an incision about this big on her back, which compared to the size of a tiny cat is like her whole body. But the good news is, and I don't know if I've talked about this in a video yet, they sent it off to a pathologist for testing after the surgery, and we got those results back and the margins are clean. So what that means is when they do a surgery like this, they take out the mass plus a bunch of stuff around it in hopes that you've got all of it and the cancer hasn't spread at all. They do that in humans too. The goal is to get those clean margins, because worst case scenario is you operate and then you realize that the cancer is still there and you didn't get all of it in the first surgery. It's really dangerous for pets to go under anesthesia, so you're kind of trying to balance, like, is it worth doing it? You really don't want to have to do it again. Plus, she's almost 16 and she has kidney disease, so it's like extra dangerous. But the good news is they got all of it. It does have a possibility of coming back, and the margins weren't as big as they wanted them to be. The vet was saying how it was only 1.5 millimeters on one of the sides, which is absolutely wild to me considering how big the incision is, but I guess it's like a miracle that they got all of it. The other good news is that it didn't touch any vascular tissue, and it also hasn't spread any further. So they were checking like on her lymph nodes, and they did some extra scans to see how the rest of her is doing, and she's okay. So it's kind of like best case scenario. If your cat's gonna get cancer, this particular lump was in an operable place. They managed to get all of it and it didn't spread. So yay, she's doing a lot better. She had to wear a cone for 2 weeks, which kind of sucked. You just feel so guilty because you can't explain to her why I'm forcing her to do this, but she had to wear it so she wouldn't like pull her stitches out and mess with it and hurt the healing process. So the poor thing had to wear this little flower cone for 2 full weeks. She did look really cute, but she was miserable. And now that it's been exactly 2 weeks, this morning I went back to the vet. They took her stitches out. They said it's healing really nicely. It's looking really good. And now she does not have to wear the cone anymore. So she's been given permission to go back to normal, kinda. I don't know if I would call that normal, what she's doing right now, but she's allowed to go back to normal. So we're kind of in the clear. Things are looking really good. She's better. I think she is really relieved to be able to like properly groom herself again now. I was giving her coneless time when she was supervised so that she could like clean her face after she ate and stuff. But even then she couldn't like actually properly groom her whole body really until today. So she's been very stinky. She hasn't had a real bath in like 2 weeks. I know a lot of you have been worried about her, so I wanted to give you that positive update. I am so relieved that things are like looking good and feeling better and that she's feeling better. This is my childhood cat. We adopted her when I was 9. I'm gonna try so hard to not cry, but I feel like I have a really special bond with her. She's like my lifelong best friend, you know? So watching her struggle and like having to do this to her, and like, even though I know I was doing what was best for her, I still felt like I put her through this horrible thing. I've been having a lot of emotional turmoil for the past couple of weeks over this. It's been really hard, but we're kind of out of the woods now and things are looking better, so that's good. Anyway, on a lighter note, I just went to start playing the game and I did get that pop-up. It says Sims delivery content not installed. So they said on Twitter to just ignore this, I guess, and it will go away on its own or whatever. That's because when the SDX drop came out 2 weeks ago, that was just like a little mini patch, and they try and patch it in for real in this patch, and there must be like some sort of error happening with the pop-ups because of that. The thing I wanted to check is that I saw some people on Twitter saying their packs were showing up in the wrong order after this patch, and look at this. Home Chef Hustle and Crystal Creations are at the top of the stuff pack list. All of the other ones are in order of release. All of the other packs in general are in order of release, but specifically just Home Chef Hustle and Crystal Creations are coming up to the top. So I'm a little bit annoyed by that. I don't understand why they did that. Like, is it even possible for that to have been an accident? Like, how does that happen? How did that get switched? I think there's a lot to be said about how they probably could readjust this menu to make it a little bit easier and more user-friendly now because there's so many packs, but doing that is not helping. That actually makes it worse. They still have not posted the patch notes, but they did post an interview with Ebonix about the new kit that she made. I won't read this whole thing to you, but I will link this down below in case you want to go back and read it yourself. I just think this is so interesting. I love hearing about people and what their inspirations are behind why they chose to make these things. She said in this that a lot of the stuff in the pack are things that she owns in real life, and she also really wanted to bring a dashiki into the game, which they did add into the kit because that was the first piece of CC that she ever made for The Sims. And that is just such an amazing full circle moment to learn what got her into making CC and then have that journey eventually lead her all the way to making a pack with The Sims. So I am really looking forward to seeing that on Thursday when it releases. Oh, interesting, big drama. There's another patch. We are a full hour past the first patch now, but I think they updated this because of that weird SDX drop bug. So after this one, people probably won't get that again. And that also probably explains why they haven't released the patch notes yet, because they were trying to fix this first. All of this for absolutely nothing. I think the game might actually even be worse off today because of this patch. Let's just check real quick. Yeah, see, I can load it and I don't have that weird pop-up anymore. Well, that's nice because the bug they introduced 1 hour ago was fixed, I guess. I had more thoughts about this that I didn't get to finish because of that secondary patch. I actually don't hate the concept of them putting the newest packs at the top, but I think if they're gonna do that, they should just flip the order completely. So like Werewolf should be at the top and it should go newest down instead of oldest down, because it's kind of strange to have these two new packs and then immediately follow them by the oldest pack. They need to stay in order at least. Like, this is weird. And I'm sorry about how much of a mess this video is. Patch day is kind of a journey for us in the Sims community, at least because I try and record the videos quickly so I could get them out, which then means that I record them before we have the full story, and then this happens, and it's just a whole bunch of mess. It's like a patch day vlog, except I'm just sitting here at my PC waiting and waiting for the patch notes. This is a new record, a full hour and a half since the update first came out, and we finally have the patch notes. I don't really understand why it takes them so long. I know they said they wanted to wait until it was rolled out everywhere, and then they had 2 patches that had to roll out across all platforms, but I don't really see why you wouldn't just post it straight away. Some games even post the patch notes the day before the patch comes out, so I just don't really get like why they have to wait, but whatever. Let's go through and see what's coming in this patch. It looks like there is not any new content, just bug fixes like we kind of suspected. I'm gonna go through and read the ones that stand out the most to me, but I will link this full list of patch notes down below in case you want to read it for yourselves. All of this base game stuff was listed in that laundry list, so things like group cooking and the plants looking dead but not being dead. Interestingly, they've changed a couple things about the gallery profanity filters. They've been slowly trying to update this. They say they've been updating the rule set to allow simmer freedom while keeping others safe, which is kind of a vague way of putting it. A couple of highlights include reducing the strictness of how hashtags were handled when listed in specific orders, and Maxis created Sims won't be prevented from uploading, which is interesting that they wouldn't let you do that, but now you can. I don't really understand how the gallery filter rule set works anyway, so I would love to know more about the behind the scenes of that. I don't know if they would ever show us the rules because they probably don't want people to know what they are and then how to get past the filters. Same thing here in Eco Lifestyle, the dew collector has been fixed, that was in the laundry list. Timestamps on Social Bunny fixed, that was in the laundry list. Wishes to level up nectar making skills when it's already maxed was in the laundry list. Yippee, horse riding now helps Sims lose weight. Yippee? Really? Sometimes they're funny, sometimes it's just weird. I just think that this phrasing is kind of off. I wish they hadn't used the word yippee specifically in regards to weight loss. This might be a me problem, but I feel like it's maybe a little bit insensitive. And I'm coming at this from like a history of disordered eating perspective, so like my opinion might not be the general public's opinion. I think I just wish that they had worded that a little bit differently. It's obviously not the end of the world, it's just like one sentence in these long patch notes. I feel like maybe that's not not the right sentence to try and be like funny about. I don't know. We can word stuff silly when it's like a silly bug, but that's not really a silly bug. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, I'm editing and I'm still on this. I think that maybe they could change this word to yeehaw instead. I think that yippee is just weird and yeehaw at least makes sense. It still has the same energy of it being fun and light, but it like actually fits with the horse thing. Something about these patch notes just kind of feels off. Like a lot of the wording is just kind of different than usual. So I don't know, it's making me feel weird. In this economy, the maximum available rent value will no longer lower after evicting a tenant. Also, it looks like landlords who own a residential rental lot and their own business won't have fund transfer issues. That makes sense. I didn't understand that from the laundry list, but it sounds like it's when you own two businesses, it was making your fund transfers kind of mess up, and they fixed that. The shawl from Crystal Creations is now visible when selecting a fashion choice in cast filters. Okay, this was embarrassing for them. In Crystal Creations, there was an extra shirt that nobody knew about because it wasn't tagged properly. You know how in cast there's like a masculine tag and a feminine tag? Well, that shirt had neither tag, so when you had a sim, it like by default wouldn't show up unless you removed all of the tags. So that was just a mistake on their part, but it's kind of funny how it took them this long to fix it. But if you have Crystal Creations and you didn't know about that, there's basically a new shirt for you. I'm actually gonna show you that. I've opened and closed my game about 50 times today. While it's loading, look at how adorable my cat is being right now. I can leave the cat cam on. This video is a mess already. Let's add a cat into the mix. This is that shawl shirt from Crystal Creations that we're talking about. It's always been there. It just previously didn't have any tags. So if you were looking at like the masculine tag, for example, it wouldn't show up because it wasn't tagged as masculine. If you're looking at feminine, it wouldn't show up because it wasn't tagged as feminine, but now it does because they fixed it. It's kind of cute. I don't know. It's not my favorite shirt, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And it's nice that you can actually see it now because before people couldn't. Interestingly, there was also a bunch of cast accessories that were showing up for werewolves, even though you couldn't use them on werewolves before. So they went through and like got rid of those so they wouldn't show up anymore. There was a texture issue with a chipped nail set from Grunge Revival. They fixed that. There was some texture bleeding on one of the poolside splash kit textures, and they fixed some tagging in the Castle Estate kit too. I always wondered about this. There was two items. There was like an eavesdropping llama like statue thing and also a crest that looks like it belongs on outdoor walls, but it didn't show up in outdoor wall sculptures. It was like in regular wall sculpture category. They have all kinds of tagging issues with their items, clearly, as we are seeing, but they fixed some tagging there so when you look in the right category in build mode, it'll actually show up. It seems like it wouldn't be a big deal because it is still in the game. It's just when it's not tagged correctly, people don't see it. So when you're looking through a list of all the outdoor wall sculptures and that's not showing up, you might not realize that it's there. They also made it so that slit window can be placed on curved walls, and they updated all the Castle Estate windows to show the correct wall height categories. Were they not correctly showing up in the wall height categories before? I'm confused by that. Okay, well, they fixed that, I guess. And this window now shows that it can be used on curved walls, which makes sense because it's tiny, so it should be able to. And when we say the outdoor wall sculptures, I mean this category. For some reason, these two items weren't showing up here, which you think they would because they're very clearly meant to go outside, and everything else that looks like that is in this category. I mean, like, all of these things are. So they fixed that too. And that is the entire patch. This is not a very big patch. Like I said, I'll link this down below in case you want to go back and read the whole thing for yourself, but I basically just read the whole thing out loud to you. I'm really sorry this video was like a complete mess. I've been recording it for 2 hours as well. This is just not... Next time I should wait until the patch notes come out and then I'll start recording because this is ridiculous. This video would have been half as long if I had waited, but whatever. It's been a journey. If you like hearing about Sims news, I do make videos about any new packs, new updates that we get. Usually when there's actually content, the videos are a bit better, like full reviews of new packs and stuff. In this case, we're just talking about nothing, which is not a good sell. But hey, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel so you don't miss that kind of news. And on that note, I'm gonna end this video right here and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Okay? Bye, everybody. Oh my gosh, this is such a mess. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.